The video didn't load, so you're going to have to go ahead and start, Nick.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
All right. We're live. Welcome back, everyone, to Brown Bag Business Chat, hashtag BBB Chat. I'm here with Heather Steele from Blue Steel Solutions, and I'm also here with Tess Whitler, who is our guest today. If y'all remember, last time we introduced this marketing challenge, kind of taking a spin off the whole Ice Bucket Challenge for ALS. So when we close, we asked people to submit their goals for marketing for the next year, and as all of us in marketing can certainly relate, which we all are, because even as marketers, we need to take the time to work on our own businesses and so on and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guest, Tess Whitler. She's a freelance copywriter who truly understands the construction industry. While attending college, Tess worked part-time for a small sprinkler contractor. She got her hands dirty on the job, counting inventory in the warehouse, doing blueprint takeoffs, materials for the next jobs, all of that. So from there, she continued her devotion to construction for the work she did by Pennsylvania Builders Association and building industry in Lancaster County out in Pennsylvania. She had all this experience and really ended up boiling it back into doing content marketing for people in the construction industry, because as you all may imagine, we've got some real industry specific things there, and in marketing, the people who are actually doing the work in the contracting industry are not necessarily the people who want to be the ones writing about it and really telling the stories. So that is what it is that she does. And Tess, when she's not writing articles and newsletters and customer stories about marketing, Tess enjoys traveling with her husband. She enjoys the beautiful trails of Pennsylvania, New England, and curling up with a good book. She also says she's a tad bit fanatical about ice hockey too, so hockey fan myself, so very good. So Tess, great to have you here, and look forward to hearing about a little bit more about you and your marketing goals. So a question then to Tess and then to Heather, what are some 3 main objectives moving into the fourth quarter and what you are both doing to work towards them?
Great. Thanks, Nick. I appreciate it. I do have several goals for the fourth quarter, but the top 3, I want to continue to grow my reach. So I want to make sure that I'm the resource that contractors turn to for good information, not for the gibberish that's out there, but for good information. So continue to use social media, my blog, my website, my email newsletter, all of those things to grow my reach and try to help more contractors. That's goal number 1. The second goal I have is I have a lead generation e-course that is taking place in about 2 weeks in early October, and I want to have a fantastic turnout for that. So I'm really focusing a lot of my energy, my immediate energy, on making sure that word gets out, and I'm marketing that as well. And then moving into 2015, again, just helping more contractors. I do a lot of content marketing for my clients, but as we all know, there's only so many hours in a day. And because there's only so many hours of the day, you can only help so many people at one time. So one of the things I really want to focus on moving into next year is to develop more DIY programs for contractors, for books and e-courses and free webinars, those types of things, to really help contractors grow their businesses online.
So I'll jump in here real quickly, Tess. Can you give us just a quick action plan of, especially for continuing to grow your reach, because I think that's one that everyone can relate to no matter what kind of business they have. What's your top level priorities on how you're going to work towards that goal, especially in the short term?
Sure, absolutely. So one of the things that I really believe in, to be quite honest with you, is to build relationships online. So being available online and then taking that relationship offline, whether it's back to my website where they can get information and sign up for my email newsletter, or having those conversations by phone. Those are the ways I want to really nurture those relationships. As far as growing my reach with people who may not be able to work with me one-on-one, there's a lot of resources on my website that they can download for free. And again, I just want to be that resource where they constantly come back to me for information so that they can set up their businesses online and be more effective online.
Great. I know we recently went through a rebranding process with you, which was a lot of fun. And one of the things that we talked about quite a bit a few months ago was just narrowing your focus, kind of having a more defined idea of who your audience is, and really focusing on those people and kind of letting the rest fall away to other people who might be able to serve them a bit better. How is that going for you, and how does it play into your goals for the rest of this year?
That's a great question, Heather, because I actually, I did go through that rebranding process with you where I really just felt comfortable with saying I'm a content marketer for contractors and being comfortable with that. And I think a lot of small businesses, businesses from all shapes and sizes actually really struggle with identifying who their ideal client is. So we certainly have situations where we need clients to keep the lights on, to pay our mortgage, whatever the case may be. But then we also have what we consider our ideal clients. And that's really where you want to be in business, is to be able to sit down and identify who your ideal client is and then be able to be comfortable with that. So going through that process with you really helped me just solidify that, yes, through my years of experience with the construction industry, that's really where my energy and my focus should be, because that's where my talent is. And so, real interesting story, just a couple of weeks ago, I was contacted by a local business, and she was looking to do some rebranding as well as to really just analyze all of her marketing and determine what the key messages were and also where the inconsistencies lie. And what's interesting about that whole scenario is that she is not in construction. She is a completely different industry. And so I talked with her a little bit, and as it turns out, really, there's only so many hours in the day, and her not being in the construction industry really was not the right match for me. So I decided to pass and tell, I gave her another resource that might be able to help her better so that she can still reach her goals and objectives, but I just wasn't the right fit for her.
Right. And it's such a great, elegant way to move someone on to the next level, is to say, I'm not the best fit, but I know these people over here who would be ideal for you. So you keep that nice positive relationship between that client. Hopefully when she does meet someone that is in construction, she can refer them back over to you.
Right.
So is there anything else that you wanted to add about your goals and what you're doing in your business for the last part of the year before we move forward?
Well, as I mentioned, I do have my lead generation e-course that I'm really focused on, and what it is I want to be able to help contractors be able to do online marketing better. So, number one, attracting those clients to them, and then developing those relationships once you have those clients, and that's what the e-course is all about. The course starts in a couple of weeks in early October, and I don't want to plug it too much, but I just want to mention that's really one of my focuses. And then moving into 2015, looking at other ways that I can help contractors. The reason why I developed the e-course was because I see a lot of contractors and small businesses, to be honest with you, they don't have a system. So what they're doing is they are doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So they're hearing that they should be blogging, so they do blogging for a little bit, and then they hear that they should be doing videos, so they do videos for a little bit, and then they hear they should be doing Pinterest or doing an email newsletter or something. So it's a very hodgepodge approach, and what I really wanted to do was to take that challenge that they're having and develop a system that they could follow, so that, yes, it's going to take some work to set up that system and to get it up and running, but once it's up and running, then it's a maintenance thing. Then all they have to do is maintain the system, and they can nurture those leads. They can get new leads by what by their actions, and then turn those relationships into either paying clients or referrals. And that's what I'm really looking forward to doing with this course coming up, and then also some other things in 2015 with, again, just helping them do it more efficiently and effectively, so that it's not this hodgepodge approach, that they're really getting the best bang for their time that they're spending marketing their businesses online.
That's great. And so where can people, if we have some contractors that are listening in now or later, how do they get signed up? What's the process? What do they need to do to take advantage of this course?
Sure. The easiest way to do it is just to go to my website, which is tesswittler.com, and Wittler spelled W-I-T-T-L-E-R. And then from there, just hit on the link that says e-course. It describes, it's a 6-week email course. So they can read it from the comfort of their chair on the weekends. They can save the email for later. There's no webinars that they have to attend. There's nothing that they have to be at a set date and time for. It just gets emailed, each lesson, each week gets emailed to them over the course of 6 weeks, and helps them through that process. And then if they do need online support, questions and that sort of thing, we do have a closed LinkedIn group that they can ask all the questions that they need to me, so they can continue to get their guidance. But yeah, they can go to my website, which is tesswittler.com, and just click on the e-course link and sign up.
That's awesome. Now I'm a little intimidated to talk about my goals next, because you seem to just really have everything in line and know what you need to do. So like Nick mentioned, we run small businesses just like our clients do. And I know, I'll speak for myself. I don't know if you guys are this way, but I am definitely my worst client. I tend to neglect my own marketing needs because we're busy running around taking care of the people that make payroll and help us pay rent. So for me, my biggest objectives for the rest of this year and then continuing into 2015 are going to be SEO and content creation, which goes hand in hand. Really rounding out my lead sources, so kind of feeding off of the SEO, which for those of you that don't know, SEO is search engine optimization. So when people search for a marketing company that does what we do, we obviously want to be the ones that they find. So we want to also round out our lead sources as much as possible. Right now we get a lot of great leads from referrals, which is fantastic, and I don't want that to stop. But we are missing out on some of the local networking and the SEO that could really help us bring in even more business and continue to refine and work with the right clients, like Tess discussed. So those are our two really high priority objectives. And then the third one is looking at all of our processes and refining and automating as much as possible. This is something I talk a lot about with our clients, and it's I know it's difficult for them because it's also difficult for me to really take the time to do that. So every 6 months or so, I really like to step back, look at what we're doing, where we're spending time, and maybe wasting a little bit of time and money, and figure out how we can automate those things. So for us to accomplish these, the biggest thing that I'm doing is something that I'm always telling my clients and urging them to do, is reaching out and getting help from other resources. So for content creation, for example, Tess is actually my content coach, which I'm glad you decided to break out of your niche just a little bit to help us, because I know we're not exactly your ideal fit, but it's been fantastic having someone to really coach and help me develop the right plans for the content, and then actually just holding me accountable for doing it. That's sometimes a really difficult thing, to actually sit down and take the time to work on your own business instead of stuff for clients. And then we're also with our good friends at Pam and Marketing to do our SEO, so I think that's going to be fantastic. We've sent several clients their way in the past, so now we get to be a client of theirs as well. And really for our automation piece, to accomplish that, we're mostly handling it in-house, but really just, like I said, breaking down and looking at where are we spending our time, and then how can we use technology to make our time more efficient and to make the experience for our clients even better through our automation.
All right. Well, I'm going to ask a question for both of you, Tess and then Heather. Really, what's the biggest challenge you see your clients facing when it comes to planning? You know, as we're all listening here, these are there's a lot of good information, things we'd like to incorporate. How do we get started?
Yeah, that's definitely a challenge for a lot of the contractors that I work with. And, you know, they have all these great ideas. I think the biggest thing for content marketing specifically for my clients is knowing what to do that's effective and being able then to implement it. These guys, a lot of them that I work with are very small companies. They don't have they don't have hundreds of people working for them. And so they spend, you know, 10, 12, 14 hours, depending upon the season, out in the field or running their business. And then they have family obligations. They're often young families or even their young grandparents that want to spend time with their grandchildren. So I think that's the big thing, is just figuring out, okay, instead of doing 50 things not very well, let's pick, you know, 2 or 3 things that we can do and manage on a well, and then sticking to it. So, you know, first of all, identifying what it is that they can do that's effective, and then secondly, sticking to it despite all the other interruptions that happen throughout their day.
And I would guess that telling the stories of what they do is half the challenge, I would think. So it seems like in your case where you had expertise, if you could just tell us again a little bit, like your clients specifically, who they are and why what you're doing is you know, so helpful. How that's a solution that you found because you worked in the industry. Is that right?
That is correct. So contractors have amazing. Every project that they do, every home that they build, every bathroom that they remodel is a story. And I like to be able to share those stories because, number one, people want to do business with people they know, like, and trust. They don't want to hire or perceive doesn't know what they're doing or is fairly new in their craft. So they like to be able to understand a contractor's process through past projects. And one of the big things that I see with contractors is they post these beautiful photos on their websites, and they don't tell the story behind the photos. They don't tell what challenges they had throughout the process, and then why the homeowner wanted to make those changes to their home or build their home to begin with. So that's really what I specialize in, able to tell those stories. I call them project spotlights. And then if I have the opportunity to actually talk to the homeowner and interview them by phone, then I call them happy homeowner stories, because then I'm actually telling the story through the eyes of the homeowner, which is the most powerful way to tell a business's story, is through your clients. So those are, you break up some really good points. So I really help contractors, number one, see the relevance in being able to tell that story a little bit more in detail than just through photos, and then secondly, being able to tell it in such a way that I'll work with them.
Right, right. Heather, if you could explain to people a little bit the concept of how you would use this in a marketing plan, because maybe the principal who owns a construction company is just too close to it on a daily basis and can't, you know, they don't know what's interesting to the folks out there reading.
Right. So, you know, there's a lot of different ways, but the first thing is to, if you're too close to that topic, it's something that you feel too much ownership over, which not everybody can admit this to themselves. So sometimes it's definitely an uphill battle, as Tess can probably agree with. A lot of times you'll have maybe an owner or the principal of the business feels like they know what they're doing, or they don't need a certain aspect of marketing, whereas someone else who's actually running marketing or sales understands the need. So the first thing you've got to do is get that person who's holding on too tight or who's too removed to their way of doing things to back up. Through education, through showing them statistics, a lot of times just simple reporting of, let's trace some lead sources, let's see if these things that you think are working really are. Those things can really help to open their eyes, and then also showing them the positive results of an organization who has taken on some of these content marketing tactics that can be very helpful as well. But really, if you've got someone who's holding the reins and they're holding it so tight that there's nowhere for you to get in there and even show them some common sense. And Tess, you may have different experience with this, but sometimes that's just a battle that you may not win.
That's true. That's very true. So, and that goes back to, identify one of the things that you and I help our clients with is identifying that ideal customer. But most of the time, I have to be honest with you, most of the time, by the time that a client probably comes to either one of us, their deficiencies and are looking for a good solution, and they really don't know where to go. They just know that what they're doing isn't quite working. Right.
So bringing that back to, how does this play into a marketing plan or coming up with your objectives? What are you going to do? One thing that I see quite a bit is that people have these very sort of superficial goals. I want to do Facebook. I want to get more visitors on my website. I want to start a Twitter chat. But they don't have an actual goal that's tied to that. They feel like that thing is the goal rather than just a route to reaching their goal. So what we really do is look at, what do you want to happen? Obviously, most likely you want to get more business. So let's look at how we can use those things as avenues to drive more business, to create more relationships, and really tie our goals more around that. So let's not look at the goal of how many, followers can I add on Twitter in a week. That's not a very good goal to associate with your objective. Let's look at how many leads can I generate, or how many new referrals can I generate that are surrounding these other activities. And it's not always a direct line, but it is something that we can see. Is business starting to improve? Is the phone ringing more? Are we getting more leads filled out through the website while we're doing these other activities? And that's going to be much more evident of our process working and us moving towards what the real overall objective is.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, there's a lot to chew on there. I suppose that people might want to rewatch this one again. But there's one follow-up question I have for either of y'all is the concept of a system and strategy. Sometimes when we say the word system, people go straight to confusing software, so on and so forth. So how difficult or how really easily can you make this?
Well, that's one of the things that I try to outline when I work with a client, is that once you set up your system, whether it's marketing or some other type of financial system, there's a lot of different systems. Once you set it up, it really does work for you fairly easily. The system has steps, though, and so a lot of times specific to online marketing is they may have steps A, C, and E, but they're missing B and D. And so because of that, the system, and I hate to keep using that word, but the process really isn't working to its full potential. So that's one of the things I specialize in is helping to develop that circle so that everything's finally connected. So that their social media efforts are connected back to their website, and that their email newsletter is connected back to their customer retention process. And that's very specific, but yes, absolutely. There's a lot that goes behind the system, but once you understand how that works with a big circle, then it becomes very easy to digest, and it also becomes very motivational to want to get it up and running, because then you see how it works.
Heather?
That's a good answer. I don't know that I can expand any more on that. I love the idea of the cyclical action, because I picture that instead of just going in a circle, you're sort of going up and up and up. So the more that you're doing this process, you're not just getting a return on your efforts, you're getting a higher and higher and higher return on the same effort, because those things also build on top of one another. So I love that analogy of the circle. Yeah, I don't know if I can add anything more valuable than that. Tess answered the question really well.
Very well. Well, here on Brown Bag Business Chat, one of the things that we like to share, and again, in the background, the whole goal here is to really capture the stories of what it is that we all do and tell those to customers and tell those to people to encourage referrals and let people know what we do. And one of the great ways to do those are attending local networking events. So, Heather, do you have the calendar up? Is there anything that we should be penciling in for those of us here in the Denton area?
Yes, so some local events coming up. Actually, tomorrow night, Thursday the 25th, is that tomorrow? At 5 o'clock, there's a chamber mixer at the First United Bank, which is just off 35. I see you writing this down, Nick, so I'm hoping that means you're going to be there. There's also, sticking with the chamber theme, on October 24th at 11 o'clock is the Women in Commerce Luncheon. I attended that last year. It was fantastic. It's not just for women, although it is mostly ladies. So, Nick, you might want to swing by and check it out. See if there's some ladies there I can introduce you to. It's going to be a great panel of business owners, including our own Denton-based Jasati. Cindy Tysinger will be there as one of the panelists, so it's going to be really fantastic. Sign up now if you plan to go, because they will sell out. I last year because I waited too long to buy my tickets. And then the other thing that's coming up for all of our local clients and friends that use WordPress, there will be a WordCamp here coming in DFW on October 4th. It will be in Fort Worth. Tickets are already sold out, but they have set up a ticket exchange for people who can't make it and have already purchased their tickets. So if you're wanting to go, haven't bought your ticket yet, go check out the WordCamp DFW website, see if you can maybe pick up a ticket from someone. And you have purchased your ticket, then we really look forward to seeing you there.
All right.
What about you? Do you have anything going on? I know you're more of a across the country business, so is there any virtual events or tweet chats or anything coming up that you want to let your audience know about?
Absolutely. Thanks, Heather. There's a construction chat run by Riggins Construction that happens every Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And tomorrow, I believe, Darren Slaughter, who a lot of you are familiar with, will be co-hosting that. But mark your calendar for next Thursday, the 2nd, because I'm going to be co-hosting it, and we're going to talk a little bit further about lead generation. And then I also want to just mention a shout-out to the International Builders Show that's happening in January in Las Vegas for those contractors who are watching. It's a fabulous event. It's actually co-located with the Kitchen and Bath Industry Show, along with some interior shows. So I think there's 4 or 5 shows going on all at once, home-related. I plan on being there. I don't know if I'm going to be a blogger on the spot or just an attendee, but I plan on being there. So if in January I want to get away from the cold and the snow, come join me out in Vegas, and we'll introduce yourself, and I look forward to seeing you guys there too.
All right. Hey, Tess,
sorry, I got one thing to say. I'm so glad that you brought up the construction chat, because Riggins Construction is actually listening in and doing some live tweeting. So I just wanted to make sure know that we saw that, and we really appreciate the participation. And they made a great point here at the beginning of our conversation that you have actually really increased your reach, Tess, through doing tweet chats. And that's been a big part of, Twitter chats. That's been a big part of what to grow your reach yourself. So I just wanted to say for hanging out with us.
Shout out to Riggins as well. They're fabulous. They do so many good things for the industry and just overall. So if you get a chance to go onto Twitter tomorrow to Construction Chat, it's Construct Chat morning. Make sure you say hello to Riggins and talk to us over there.
All right. Well, thank you both. I really love hearing about all the niches. Really, anyone who doesn't think that there's a niche and a customer base out there, there certainly is. And these discussions like this, and the more people I hear from, like Tess, really proves it. Tess, if you please give the folks at home some contact information if they'd like to continue the dialogue with you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Nick. Just come over to my website. It's www.tesswhitler.com. and connect with me over there. My phone number, email, all the great information's over there. You can find me on Twitter at Tess Whitler. Just do a Google search for Tess Whitler, and you'll find me in probably about 10 different places. So I look forward to having any of those conversations.
All right, wonderful. Heather, too, if you could give people a way that they can get a hold of you for some first-time listeners before you tell us what's coming up on our next Brown Bag Business Chat.
So to reach us, you can access our website at bluesteelsolutions.com. That's blue, S-T-E-E-L-E, like my name there. I can't point to it because it's mirrored there. bluesteelsolutions.com, or you can do a Google search for Blue Steel Solutions and find us in our various social media outlets. Next time, we will in next week because we missed last week. So we will be co-hosting with Faith Growth. Christopher Harris of Faith Growth will be chatting with us about kind of getting over the fear of hiring and growing your business, and how he and I have both used interns to really buffer that growth period and also give back to the local universities through internships. So that'll be a really exciting one for anybody looking to get some help, maybe doesn't know where to start. We'll be chatting all about that next Wednesday at noon Central.
Look forward to it.
All right, thanks, guys. I'm going to start this off.
All right, well, thank you all, and thank you all for listening. And please, those of you at home who find this video, please do your part and help sharing the videos in your own social networks, because that's how so many great people are going to find the Brown Bag Business Chats and hopefully join us on our future coming shows, first and third Wednesdays.